So, welcome to the course unit 10, the intelligence cycle. Okay. So, what is intelligence cycle ba? Diba? It is the series of steps by which raw information is converted into finished intelligence. So, and made available to policy makers and other intelligence consumers for use in decision making. Diba? As we discussed last week, diba? Sabi natin ang intelligence, it is the product or the process product of everything. So, dahil ang intelligence, okay, kapag yung mga raw data information natin, na-process siya, okay, nag-come up into a product, that is what we call intelligence. Ang tanong, paano ba tayo magka-come up dun sa tinatawag nating intelligence na yan? Diyan papasok itong intelligence cycle. In order for us to have this what we call intelligence, meron tayong tinatawag na step-by-step procedure. Kasi sinasabi niya, it is the product. Ibig sabihin, it is the product of the process. Ano yung process na yon? Ito po yun. Okay? This is the intelligence cycle. Again, it is the series of steps which raw information is converted into finished intelligence and made available to policymakers and other intelligence consumers for use in what? Decision making. So, ano ba yung intelligence cycle natin? We have planning and direction, collection, processing, production, and dissemination. So, planning and direction. Okay, let's start. Okay, for today, balik muna tayo dito. Sa ating process na to, o nga pala, open your cameras nga muna. We didn't make a screenshot muna. Open your cameras first. Yan. Yan. So, at the count of 3, smile muna kayo. Smile kahit may bagyo. Tapos may pasok. Yan. Maulan pa ba dyan sa mga parts nyo? Maulan ba dyan sa inyo?
Yes, ma'am. Yes po, ma'am.
Sa amin, mahangin lang, pero wala namang ulan. Okay, so, for today, ang topic lang natin is 2. Planning and direction at saka collection. 2 phase lang muna, okay? The rest, yung 3, 4, 5, yung ating steps na 3, 4, 5, topic natin siya for tomorrow. Okay? So, the intelligence cycle, planning and direction, and then collection. So, planning and direction, this step comprises the determination of intelligence requirements. Preparation, a plan for collection. Okay, issuance for orders and request information collections, agencies, and continuous checks on productivity of collections agencies, and the step is also considered to be the beginning and the end of the cycle. Again, among the among the intelligence cycle, this is the very most important. Planning and direction. Bakit? Kasi sabi nga niya, it is the beginning, it is also the end of the cycle. Bakit? Dito tayo magsisimula. Okay? Walang intelligence na successful without planning. Lahat ng operation nagiging successful kapag pinagplanuhan. Diba po? Sabi nga niya, this step determines the intelligence requirements. They prepare. Yan. What are the different requirements that we have now? Diba? Standing requirement and the ad hoc requirement. Okay? Standing requirement and ad hoc requirement. Sabi dito sa planning and direction, ipe-prepare natin lahat yan. Diba? We have different preparations. And one of that is determination of intelligence requirements. So we have 2 types of requirement. Standing requirement and ad hoc requirement. So types of requirement. Yan. Standing requirement. These are the products necessary for strategic purposes. Broad continuing requirement ensures regular production effort against target. So itong standing requirement, ito yung for strategic purposes. Again, kapag sinabi natin strategic purposes, di ba, for long term, for matagalan. So ibig sabihin, ano ang products ng standing requirement na to? Anong kailangan niya? Those broad continuing requirement. Sabi niya, para magpatuloy yung plano. Yan. Ensures regular production effort against target. So kahit na merong nagkakaroon sila ng problema or nagkakaroon ng parang na-encounter nila na critical or so whatever, they still ensure that there is a regular production of the information. Ganyan. Ad hoc naman, Okay? Ang ad hoc requirement naman, used to fill sudden, short-term needs for specific intelligence. Ang ad hoc requirement, ito yung parang contingency plan mo. Ito yung mga parang kailangan ng specific lang yung preparation mo. Again, we have two requirements, standing and ad hoc. Kapag standing requirements, these are the things that are for the long-term process of your production or for the long process of your intelligence. Kapag naman ad hoc, just for a specific short term or specific time. Okay? Just to fill a sudden operation or parang meron lang sudden problem that you need to solve. Okay? That are the types of requirement. Now, we have now the steps in planning. What are the steps in planning? 1, requirement tasking by the higher headquarters. Yan. Siyempre, magtatask muna yung higher headquarters natin. And then, establish of the requirement. Establish mo na. After the established, there is a validation of a requirement. If ano ba yung mga kailangan mo, i-confirm mo. Yan. So, establish of the requirement. Paano mo ma-establish ang requirement? There is a priority, tinatawag nating PIR, or the priority information requirement. It anticipated intelligence requirements based on the mission statements, operational plans, commander's intent. Number 2, we have essential elements of information, or EEI. It describes all what is needed in the requirement. It refers to the 5 Ws and 1H. Okay. Next, validation of requirement. It prevents duplication of effort, prioritize requirement. It ensures efficient use of intelligence collection agents. Okay, ganda ng planning natin. Again, ulitin ko ha. Planning is the most important part of the cycle. Kasi, dito ang simula, ito rin ang end ng cycle mo. Kung baga sa salitaan natin, ito yung pinaka backbone mo. Kasi kung wala to, wala kang susundan. Ito yung pinaka-mapa mo kung ano ang gagawin mo. Ngayon, sa pag-planning and direction, meron tayong two types of requirement. Standing and ad hoc. Ano nga ulit ang standing? Anyone? Sige nga. Ano nga ulit ang standing?
Long-term process.
For long-term process. So, therefore, pang matagalan ang pagpaplano mo. Okay. O, late ka. Okay? Ngayon, ano naman ang ad hoc requirement?
Specific time po.
For just a specific time. For example, nagkaroon lang ng problema, meron lang sa solusyonan ng konti. Ganyan. Sa standing requirement, this is a strategic process wherein kahit anong mangyari, tuloy ang operasyon. Ang ad hoc, kung nagka-problema lang, pero short-term needs na kailangan mong isolve, yun. Okay? Used to fill sudden, sabi niya specific intelligence. Now, what are the steps in planning? Number 1, requirement tasking by the higher headquarters. Siyempre, mag-i-start yan kung inutusan sila sa taas. O, gagawin to, papaplano na ganyan. Next, you will establish of the requirement. Ano ba yung kailangan? Diba? The establish of the requirement, dito mo inaaliman kung paano, ano yung establish mo. Kaya nga sabi niya, priority information requirement. Diba? What are the anticipated intelligence requirements? Ano ba yung kailangan nyo? Based on the mission statements. Ayan. Operational plans, commander's intent. Ayan. Ano ba yung kailangan yung i-establish? Dito yon. Establish of the requirement. Alamin mo ano ba yung pagpaplanuhan nyo, ano ba yung kailangan nyong makuha, ano ba yung kailangan nyong maging outcome dito sa pagpaplano nyo. Kaya nakalagay din dito yung essential elements of information. Describe all what is need in the requirement. It refers to the 5 Ws and 1H. After you establish that requirement, kung anong kailangan, anong gagawin, anong gusto yung outcome, eto na, you will validate that requirement. Bakit? Baka naman yung pinapagawa sa inyo, yung task na binigay nga sa inyo, merong nang nagawang ganyan. Okay? What is the purpose of the validation of requirement? It prevents duplication of effort, prioritized requirement. Baka naman binigyan kayo ng mission na ganito, tapos nakita nyo na magpaplano, meron na palang nagawang plano na ganyan. Another, it will ensure efficient use of intelligence collection agents. Yan, i-validate mo, sino ba yung kasama mo? Ibig sabihin, sino kaya yung pwede mong makatulong? Sino kaya yung sasangkapanin mo? That is the validation of requirement. Possible ba if itutuloy mo yung papaplano na to? Hindi. So, that is the planning and direction. Now, we're going to the collection phase. Okay? So, collection phase. Ganito kasi yan, di ba? Again, balik lang nga tayo dito. Hindi ko na-discuss masyado. First is planning. After mo mag-plan, syempre, magko-collect ka na. Diyan na yung start ng move mo. After mong mag-collect, ipaprocess mo what you collected. Tanong, ano yung pina-collect mo? Information. After you collect information, ito na yung process mo. Yan. After nun, there is a production and the last one is dissemination. So, nandito na tayo sa step 2. Yan. The collection of information. So, what is the collection of information? This step entails the acquisition. Ayan, acquisition. Ibig sabihin, acquire. Nakuha mo na. These steps entails the acquisition of information and the provision of this information to processing or production elements. So, information is collected from numerous open sources of intelligence or OSINT. Okay? Information is also collected from the various traditional intelligence disciplines as human. Yan. Kapag open source set, ang tawag sa kanya ay OSINT. Kapag naman human intelligence, it is human. And COMIT naman kapag communications intelligence. IMINT, imagery, ELINT, electronic intelligence, massive measurement and signature intelligence, TELINT, telemetry intelligence, RADINT, radio signal siguro to, intelligence gathered from radars, ayan. Signals, this is SIGINT, and TECHNIT is the technical intelligence. So, these are the sources of information. Saan mo ba kukunin? Saan ka magkukolect? Again, the collection phase, this is the acquirement or you were going to acquire all the things or the information that you need. Ang tanong, saan ka kukuha ng information mo? Ayan. You can get from the, parang ano na to, ready na agad na information or intelligence. There are two modes of collections of the information. It's either primary collection method or the secondary collection method. Primary collection method, okay, is the act of locating and fully exploiting the source reporting in the information collected. Again, primary collection method is the act of locating and fully exploiting the source reporting the information collected. Ibig sabihin, ikaw mismo ang maghahanap. Ikaw mismo yung tawag dito ang saan to manggagaling. Ikaw mismo ang gagawa. Diba? Yan. Act of locating. Ayan, full exploiting. For example, kung kanwari, primary collection method mo, nakita mo na dumaan yung mismong target nyo. So, gagawa ka ng report. That is primary collection method. Pero, meron din tayong tinatawag na secondary collection method. What is the secondary collection method? Involves obtaining, ito na, reports na agad. Documents, ayan. Involves obtaining intelligence reports, documents, estimates, and publication from available sources, then forwarding it to satisfy a requirement. Ang secondary collection method, ito na yung bibigay na lang sa iyo information. Merong nang naka-ready agad. Okay? That is secondary. Iba yung gagawin mo pa lang at dun sa binigay na sa'yo na ready-made. Kapag ready-made na yan, okay, for example, pupunta ka lang sa, kanwari ito, pupunta ka dun sa open source of intelligence na isang unit na yan. Kapag binigyan ka na ng document, that is secondary collection method. Ang primary collection method, ikaw mismo ang gagawa. Naiintindihan na po ang pinagkaiba ng two methods of collection natin. Hello?
Pwede pong paano yung sa secondary?
Okay, secondary collection method, for example, ganito. Kailangan mo ng parang birth certificate or parang proof of birth date niya. Ayan. Pupunta ka sa PSA. Yung document na yun, that is, yung bibigyan nilang document sa'yo, that is secondary collection method. Bakit? These are just the outcome na agad. Naka-reports na, documented na. So, available source siya. Ibig sabihin, available source. Pwede mo makuha kahit kailan. Ang primary collection method, eto na yung kukuhanin mo pa lang or gagawa ka ng paraan. For example nga, gagawa ka ng report, ano ang ginawa niya sa buong maghapon? Yun ang information na kailangan. Okay, anong ginawa niya sa buong maghapon? Kapag ikaw mismo ang tumingin sa kanya, inobserve mo siya kung anong ginawa niya maghapon, then sinulat mo yung ginawa niya maghapon, that is primary collection. Bakit? Nabuo mo kasi yung information na yun by observing that person. Pero, okay, nagiging secondary collection method yan. For example, yung nag-observe sa kanya, police. Ayan. Tapos, meron na talaga siya yung mga daily routines na nag-observe siya. Kinuha mo lang sa kanya yung record na yun. That is secondary collection method. Kasi, hindi naman ikaw yung nagpagod, nag-observe doon sa mismong tao. Naintindihan na ang pinagkaiba ng primary and secondary? It's very easy.
Yes po.
Yes po.
Abdul.
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay. Again, those are the two methods of collection. Next, there are two types of information naman. General and specific. When we say general, in nature, it discusses the context in which the information requirement exists. Lahat. Entire. Okay? That is general. Sabi nga niya, it discusses context in which information requirement exists. Pag specific naman, it just directly address the information requirements. It usually relates to an event or phenomenon that is the subject of the requirements. For example, general. Abuan, that is two types of information. For example, give me the records of, kanwari, information. Give me the birth records of 1964. So, lahat ng pinanganak ng 1964, ibibigay sa'yo. Ang magiging specific yan kapag, okay, nagiging specific yan, for example, give me the records of the 1964 noong nagkaroon ng bomba. Noong meron pagsabog, siguro mga May to July. That is specific. Nakita po ba pinagkaiba? Sa general, buo, kabuuan. Sa specific, there is just a specific event or specific, sabi nga niya, phenomenon that happened. For example, give mo lang sa akin yung mga birth certificate noong merong 1964 bombing. Ayan, during May to June. O, yun lang ibibigay sa'yo. Pero for example, ang hiningi mo is, give mo sa akin yung lahat ng birth certificate noong 1964. That is general. Okay, again, there are two types of information, general and specific. Next, we have two types of sources naman. Ayan, open source and closed source. Kapag open source, okay, or tinatawag natin overt, ayan, overt sources or open source, again, overt. Okay, these are the types of sources that are generally available to public. Ano yan? Ibig sabihin, hindi mo kailangan gumamit ng utak, hindi mo kailangan gumamit ng tactics. Bakit? Kasi available yan kahit sino. Ano po yan? Newspaper clippings, media, di ba? Information published in books, magazine, etc. Ito yung easily to get. Kayang-kaya mong kuhanin kasi available siya. Kahit normal citizen, merong copy ng dyaryo. Kahit sino naman may copy ng libro. That is open source. Yung already available that hindi mo siya kailangan hanapin. Ang closed source, okay? These are those information to which the access is restricted to the general public. For example, yung appropriation of funds. Diba? Hindi naman yan, kunwari, merong silang, nahanap nila yung funds allocated about the government na ganito, ganyan. Siyempre, diba, meron tayong tinatawag na restricted files, yun ang tinatawag nating closed source or covert source. Kasi bago mo ma-access yung information na yun, dadaan ka muna ng proseso para makuha yung information na yun. Again, closed sources, ang tawag dito, covert, kasi nakatago. Again, we have two types of sources, open and closed. Kapag open, already available. Ito yung mga magazines, newspaper, ganyan. Ang closed sources, ito yung mga nakatago. Na kailangan mo munang dumaan ng process bago mo makuha yung information. Sa madaling salita, itong mga covert sources na to, ito yung mga napapanood nyo sa movie, nadadaan muna sila ng government, or sometimes, diba, kung masama silang tao, diba, gumagawa sila ng technique para makapasok sa office and then they will obtain that information. That is the closed sources. Maliwanag po ba ang two types of sources natin? Again, when we say covert sources, closed or open? Covert. Hello?
Cover. Close po, ma'am.
Close. Kapag, madali siyang tandaan, O, open, overt. Yan. Close, C, covert. Diba? Magazine, open or close?
Open.
Open. Basta nakatago, close. Okay, alam niyo na yan. Next, what are the steps in collection? Number 1, you will analyze the reason. Number 2, identify where the information can be obtained. Diba? And the last one, gather the information. Siyempre, for example, kuhanin mo nga yung mga documents nila about funds doon sa PSA. Kanmari lang naman example. So, again, steps in collection, you will analyze. Ano ba yung kailangan mo? Okay, kailangan ko daw makuha yung mga pagpaplano, yung mga documents about funds in PSA. Ngayon, saan mo kukuhanin yun? Identify where the information can be obtained. Doon pa sa pinaka-head ng PSA. Ayan. And then, after mong na-identify, na-analyze, na-identify kung saan mo siya kukunin, doon mo pala siya pwedeng kuhanin. Kasi magpaplanuhan mo din kung paano mo kukuhanin yan. And then, you will gather the information. Again, these are the steps in collection: analyze, identify, and then gather. So, what are the methods of collecting? Yan, pwedeng overt and covert. Pag sinabing overt method, ito, it does not attempt to conceal or deny the existence of the collection activities. Pag sinabi ko nga overt, open lang, di ba? It includes gathering data from book, the use of interview, or the use of survey. Kapag overt method, wala kang tinatago dyan. Kasi, already available lang yan. Okay? You don't need to conceal anything. Wala kang kailangang itago kasi available naman yan. Yung mga information na kailangan mo. Kapag naman covert method, this is a method collecting whereby there is a denial. Ayan. Denial on the existence of the activities to include surveillance, confidential request of information. Yan. Kapag ang covert method is patago, yan. Kunwari, kailangan mo ng information about doon sa nangyayari sa kanya buong maghapon. Ayan. Eh, syempre, bawal niyang malaman na minamanmanan niyo siya. So, yung nag-a-act ng surveillance, okay, nagkakandak ng surveillance, nagkakaroon ng tailing or shadowing doon sa taong yon, ang tawag doon ay covert method. Kasi patago. Sabi nga niya, in covert method, there is a denial in the existence of activities. Why? Kasi bawal tayong ma-burnout. Pag sinabi natin ma-burnout, or ibig sabihin nun, malaman nila kung anong ginagawa natin. Kasi nga, patago ito, or baka secret mission ito. At yung mga napapanood nyo talaga sa mga movies na, di ba, nag-ano mo sila, nag-i-intel, kanyan, pagpatago, that is covert method. Pero kapag overt method naman, for example, nag-conduct lang silang survey, kahit sino nakakit sa kanila, that is overt method. Ibig sabihin, wala silang kailangan itago. Intindihan po ba? Sabi nga niya, it does not attempt to conceal or deny the existence of the collection of activities, that is overt method. Pero sa covert, there is a denial of the existence of the activity. Again, those are the methods of collecting. So, the collection plan. Sabi nga sa'yo, meron pagpaplano. So, the collection plan is a dynamic tool used to coordinate and integrate the efforts of all collection units and agencies. It is merely a management tool to assist the collection manager, okay, in organizing his thought processes. So, the collection plan is continually revised as required. It is a mental process and there is no prescribed format. It is merely an aid and not a substitute for thinking. Ayan. Siyempre, sa collection phase, sabi ko nga, di ba, meron tayong, tawag dito? Asan na yun? Yan, di ba, meron tayong steps in collection? Siyempre, hindi ka agad-agad makakapag-collect ng information kung walang steps. So, isa nga doon, mag-start tayo sa tinatawag nating collection plan. Sabi niya sa collection plan, this is the dynamic tool. Ayan. Wherein you need to coordinate and integrate all the efforts for the collection units and agencies. And also, di ba, collection plan is a continually revised as required. Sabi niya, it is a mental process, sabi niya, where there is no prescribed format. Kasi parang, dito nagbabago everything eh, kung paano mo makukuha yung information. There is a tendency na magbabago yan. Revision. Sabi nga niya, it is a merely an aid and not a substitute for a thinking. So, information collection planning, there are two reasons for adopting the information collection planning or ICP. To ensure that we collect information is an efficient manner. Yan. To ensure that we collect information in an effective manner. Efficient and effective, yung pagko-collect mo. So, who we will collect this information from? Saan mo kukuhanin yan? How we will collect the information? Saan mo kukuhanin? Kanino mo kukuhanin? Paano mo kukuhanin? Diba? 5. Sino ang gagamit nito? Who will use to collect this information? Diba? After mo na-collect yung information na sino bang gagamit? Kailan nila? Okay? It should be timely. Lagi niyong tandaan, intelligence, it should be timely, diba? When they should collect this information? Kailan? Kasi baka kailan ba nila kailangan yan? Ano? So, that is what we call the collection phase. Or the information collection planning. The collection plan, tapos information collection planning, ito na yon yung process niya. Again, parang it's answers lang na 5 W's and 1 H, diba? So, So, do you have any questions? Kasi itong next na yan is for tomorrow na. Again, what we have discussed today are just two basic steps muna. Ano yung unang step? Open your cameras na. Maybe I could stop this recording first. Okay.